It's time for another United Fanzine Organization review. I'm only holding up the newsletter because there are so many zines to take a look at this time. Buckle up, everyone. And hello everyone, it's Tom, it's FANzine Live. This is the new releases video, but more directly, this is the UFO review, the United Fanzine Organization. And this is their newsletter, Tetragrammaton Fragments. I'm not sure who did the front cover. Who did the front cover? I don't have the person's name at the top of my head. I should know these things. But the back cover is by Keith Newsom. And so Keith Newsom of, where are we? Of Strange Times 6 fame. Keith is a great artist, and I'm always excited to see his stuff in print. And he and Steve Keeter, the chair of the UFO, have become fast friends. And so they've got a lot to share and a lot of fun to have with each other. So anyway, this is the UFO review issue. In this issue, or in this edition of FANzine Live, I have to prepare myself to write a column in the newsletter, Tetragrammaton Fragments. I'm going to be writing for issue 279 because I've already written for 278. And what we do in this is we take our UFO labeled zines, or UFO label. Great example, the UFO label on Strange Times 6. We take our zines, we send them out to all the members. The members take a look at them, consider them, and then write reviews in Tetragrammaton Fragments. They send me theirs, I do the same, and I write the reviews. There's a large volume of books and zines that are done by UFO members. And so because I have to do my FANzine Live videos and I have to do reviewing for Tetragrammaton Fragments, I thought let's package them together. And so we are going to take a look at the stuff that I will be reviewing in T-Frags, as we call it, 279. This is the newsletter, and you can see it has a very short constitution, not really much to it. And you can see that you get comments from the likes of David, well, the chairman piece from Steve Keeter, piece from David Kling. Joe Ely Corrales writes a little. He always likes to draw in his columns. Who's next? Ken Bailey, one of our newer members who did the Mighty Energy Girl. I think we looked at that in an old video. My stuff. Yeah, I'm even posting a link to the UFO review videos in my column so that I don't have to write as much because, gosh, it takes a lot. Larry Johnson, we're going to take a look at some of his stuff. We already have before, but we're going to take a look at one of his zines. He always writes the best reviews. The man is so thoughtful. John Yo, he's a brand new member, but he's actually a returning member. He was an old chairman of the UFO back before I was returned. Heath Rowe, we're going to take a look at some of his stuff today. Verl Bond, got a cover by him. Rob Imes. So you can see, I mean, people are just, and then Steve wraps it up with his own column. So very cool. So that's T-Frags. We will start with The Dream Diary by Larry Johnson. I'm not sure if I've done a Dream Diary video. This is the third issue, and so I've done reviews on it before. Premise of this is that Larry takes he keeps a pad of paper and a pencil by his bedside. And if he has a particularly compelling dream, he scratches down what it was about. He wakes up, very quickly scratches down what it's about, and then just has this inventory of dreams and a dream journal, a dream diary that he then draws from. And using his art talents, and as you can see, he is very well versed in a number of different styles. He, does standard cartooning, but he also does some really interesting art styles. He kind of mixes it up and retells the stories of the dreams. Dreams are interesting in the sense that sometimes they have conflict, sometimes they don't. Sometimes they have a beginning, middle, event, sometimes they don't. You take what the dream gives you, you write this, or you do the story. So for example, this one is about a biker gang, and Larry was wanting to join a biker gang, but he ended up being told that he couldn't do it. So he decided to get 4-color in his language, still can't join, said to hell with all of you. That's the dream. That's it. But you can see this one's about going on a trip. Looks like there was a little bit of violence involved. An escape, and he descended to safety. And that's the end of that one. One thing I do want to point out about Larry's work is that, first, he's got a nice, simple line. He doesn't go overboard. Often his backgrounds, especially in the dream stuff, are just empty, which makes sense. But what I did want to point out was he has a style that's pretty standard across his books. But I've noticed when you look at these larger headshots, I think somebody's been taking selfies, because these are perspective shots that I have not seen before from him. And they're really good self-portraits of Larry. Other thing I like about it is he's been able to work the color in. There's a certain surreal quality to this. You can see he can do the bright colors if he wants, but I think using these pastels really makes a lot of sense for a dream. This one's called The Cave Locomotive. This one is The Indignant Men's Club. I've never seen him draw this type of stuff or like that. These have gotta be self-portraits. Larry does love drawing his utility poles and his trees, and how the combination of nature and technology coming together. The obelisk, one called Cat Poop. I was driving a cartoon car down a hill, so he does it like a cartoon car. Kind of cool. It's all about how a cat jumps in the car and drops the number 2 on him. The apartment life. Look at this, all done in shades of blue. Neat. Spider. Then, every now and then, he throws in these pieces. And this is a dream to itself. And notice that he has dates on these things. This was a 2011 dream. This is a 2012 dream. 2004. So he's been doing this for years. But this is grief, and it's just a small paragraph. It says, I was sitting on a bench in a public place, crying, thinking of my mother who had recently died. A little woman sat next to me and picked my pocket. I grabbed her arm. She had some dollar bills in her hand. I yelled for the police. They arrived and arrested her. I felt so indignant that she would take advantage of me at such a vulnerable moment. And that's the dream. Okay, then. Yep, another piece. The Tattooed Man. The Office Engineer from 2011. Now, he probably drew these much more recently, but he's had these in his diary forever. The Green Potato Chip, The Vacant Lot, The Living Doll. And they're really fun pieces to read. That's got to be a self-portrait. Off the Record. And then he has Dream Diary guest stars and dreams that involve different people. He had one involving Martha Stewart, Sylvia Browne, Saddam Hussein, Michael Jackson, Judy Garland, and Barbra Streisand. And he's got some letters in the UFO checklist and all aboard. So there you go. Dream Diary, number 3. We'll take a look at another one in just a moment. Did I say one? Let's look at three. These are the STF Amateur by Heath Rowe. This particular cover is by Verl Bond, a UFO member. This one's by Larry Johnson. And then this one is by a person named Pearson, Joe Pearson. I like that Joe Pearson one a lot. Haven't seen that type of style for a long time. Anyway, Heath is a member of a number of APAs, Amateur Press Associations, and what he does is he combines them all together, all of his contributions. It's called a bundle zine. APAs basically say for all the members in the APA, they'll do a newsletter kind of like this, but instead of having a saddle stitch book like that, what they do is they send loose pages in with their columns, and then the chair or whatever collates and staples and then resends all of them out. And so all the different columns from all the different members of the APA are in each issue. Well, what Heath has done, he is a member of, in this case, 1, 2, 3, 4 APAs that he covers in August of 2024. He has taken his columns for those APAs, and independently of his work with the APAs, he's created his own, what he calls bundle zine out of that. So his telegraphs and tar pits column, his faculae and filigree column, emulators and engines column, and the explosion containment umbrella column. He does all of these, which is kind of cool. And so this is the beginning, as I'm going here. Telegraphs and tar pits. Oh, these are the letters of comment about this zine. And he has a call for submissions. And then he gets into his telegraphs and tar pits. And so, I mean, it's just the telegraphs and tar pits is all, you know, there's no 124, the 125. So this was his piece that he had to do for the first week of August. This is the one for the second week of August. And he does all sorts of dialogue with other members, reviews of movies and books that he's seen, some zines and comics that he's read. He even does some travelogue stuff in this last one, which honestly was some of my favorite reading of it that I did. And he likes to throw in some fun spot illustrations. He loves old movies, especially the old horror movies. And he likes to put in likes to spice up all of his text, and he does write a lot. Likes to spice it up with some spot illustrations. And so, yeah, I mean, if you're interested in his world of kind of science fiction and fantasy and the like, he's got a lot to say. And the dialogue that he has with other members, I read through it, and it doesn't speak to me personally because I'm not part of that dialogue, not part of that conversation. He does have some other issues as well that he talks about. For example, like here, he talks about electronic publishing ecosystems and talks about the potential future of serialized genre fiction. And so gives some discussion of the Kindle Vella and Royal Road serialized fiction services. I think Vella's gone. I think they stopped doing that. But anyway, yeah. So he puts in information. This one I think is all, it's about role-playing games. Yeah, game prep report, adapting a game book for maze rats. And so he goes through his information on that. And some comments again. He jumps off to the next one. Enjoyable emails that he got. So it's kind of fun. Screened at the Globe Theater, movie reviews. Mad Max Fury Road. He didn't like it. I loved it. Sorry, Heath. I loved Fury Road. And yes, there was a ton of backstory that George Miller was trying to keep rolling along, and he was able to put out with Furiosa. But I think there was even more out there that, seeing as Furiosa didn't do well, I'm not sure we're going to see anymore. So yeah, and then the UFO newsletter, and we're off and running. So here's issue 13, very much the same. This one has another APA. The Snow Poster Township is his response to those. But it's pretty much the same format. Free LSD, tripping the cinema light fantastic. Okay. Talking about podcasts and genre-related podcasts. And he has this inventory of podcasts that he listens to. And it just blows me away that he can listen to all of this and watch all the movies that he watches and read all the books that he reads and see all the movies that he sees and write all this and listen to podcasts. I don't know where the man finds the time. So pretty cool. And I'm going to skip ahead to the last one because this one is a little more interesting to me personally, because he uses his November entries to talk largely about his trip report. And he took a trip to Portugal, and he throws in information about Portugal. He has imagery coming out of cartoons in Portugal and talks about some of the stuff that he's done. These are some of the comics that he read in Portugal. Would have been neat to see covers on this. As much as I know he loves his classic movies and all that, it would be really cool when you got stuff like this to say, take a snapshot and put a picture of the piece, because obviously I'm never going to read Almanac do Cebolinha, but it would be neat to see a cover at least. Yeah, it says another excellent Halloween cover published in March. This is a hike that he did in Portugal. Looks gorgeous. Went to a jazz show. Then some more comics. This one he does have some stuff. Well, not this, but this one and this one. And these are from the reading pile, tables of contents, most recent tables of contents from a handful of recent semi-prozines and prozines I've received. And so he's got commentary, quick commentary, at least the tables of contents, of the different things he's read recently. Maybe he just like scans them and types them and gets them all automatically typed in. Some OCR or something like that with a scanner could pull that off. And then another trip report. And this one is about going to a movie in Portugal, as well as some street art from Portugal. And as a lover of street art, I'm very excited by that. Then he threw in this piece, and it says here, Skizix in Space. I don't always keep up with comic strips as featured on Go Comics and Comics Kingdom online, but I subscribe to both and receive daily emails of favorites I've identified at different points in time. And so this is, I guess, some Gasoline Alley. I have not read Gasoline Alley to any degree, and so I'm going to play along and say, yes, it is. Kind of fun. Nice photocopying. I mean, it's neat to have a blast of sequential art in the middle of all of this. This was about going to a place called Diffuse Snack Bar and Games. It's a place where basically you do role-playing games and you eat a bunch of snacks. And so, kind of cool. This was about trying to get a dentist because he lost a crown. And then going back to the jazz festival and talking about, since fall 20, talk about Metal Hurlant. While the first issue featured reprinted material, the other issues have not. Periodicals, utterly amazing, beautiful, and compelling. Since fall 21, there have been 12 new issues of Metal Hurlant, primarily new material. And just recently, a Kickstarter began to translate that series into English for American reprint. My concerns of the new French edition not making it to our shores are premature. Metal Hurlant is on the way. And then he talks also about heavy metal. So that's really exciting. And I just did a Metal Hermant video recently, and that makes me happy. Did a movie review on Gattaca and Predestination, and we're off and running. So yeah, there we go. A lot of material from Heathrow. The STF Amateur, number 13, 12, and 15. We'll take a look at some more in a moment. Next up, The Improbable Girl and the Wonder Kitty. And this is subtitled Journey to the Master of the World. It's issue 13 from Joe Ely Corrales with a special guest artist, Terry S. Wood, who we love from her Wandering Star book, her incredible Patreon, and the fact that she's done some really good stuff with us over here at Phoenix Productions. This is the beginning of another short story, a two-parter that Joe Ely Corrales did with, what was the gentleman's name? I'm looking really quick. Brian Amstatter, his naval-themed comic strip Chef Coffee Cup. And so he uses some of that as inspiration. I'm not going to get too deep into this. There's a lot that one can say about it. Production values are great. It's a Comics Wellspring book. Nice, heavy stock, glossy paper. I always enjoy how he uses blacks in his margins rather than the traditional whites. I think it adds a nice touch. He has, however, and this is something I do want to point out, he has really started to up his game as far as the quality of his artwork. His core characters all pretty much look the same, but even here you can see his posing, I think, has improved drastically. He clearly loves drawing planes and did a really nice job on all of those. Another thing I've noticed, he is getting better as a written storyteller in my mind as well. There's a little less exposition, a little more forward movement in the plot. And that's something I think that's really important because I did feel in the past that I was getting a little bogged down. Nice little piece of foreshadowing about, what's happening with this Peggy O'Shea. And you see the creepy eyes, and it says that's an adventure for another day. So obviously he's already prepping for past issue 14 because this is 13. Yeah, he loves his planes. But I think he's doing pretty good. I mean, that's a nice looking pilot there. He likes his boats too. But he's got some nice work here. His figure work is looking better too. His faces are looking good. So he's introduced all the characters and he's put them in jeopardy. My only real suggestion would have been, this is a neat looking picture. It would have been cool to find a way to reorganize some of this conversational stuff to allow that to be bigger. I think that would have been a really fantastic closing image. And it's not bad, but I think it could have been really spectacular. UFO checklist. Then he does his New People's Journal, and this is all about his friend and my friend, Terry S. Wood, talking about Wandering Star, talking about how she got into comics, some of the other stuff that she's done. A piece for the Lion Gazette, an original. It's great Terry S. Wood work. And then the players for the Journey to the Master of the World. It's a fine zine. There's a lot of characters to juggle. I'm really glad that he decided to put a I guess you say a rogues gallery of characters in so that you understand who's who and what's what. But good stuff. Great interview with Terry. Nice piece by Terry. Improving work. We've got a cover is by Alex Moore from one of his Yeet friends. Nice stuff. Journey to the Master of the World. Okay, one more book and we will be on our way. Did we save the best for last, folks? Very well, possibly. We definitely saved a Keith Newsom cover for last, and this is Mantra number 13, another UFO zine. This one from the chairman of the UFO, Mr. Steve Keeter. And Steve has a classic old school anthology, one that I love seeing these, because we used to have them all the time back in the day, and now we just don't seem to as much. So it's neat when they happen, and always makes me feel good to see. It starts with a fantastic cover. I should say it's a digest-sized zine, saddle-stitched, stapled along the edge. It's a simple letter-size folded over piece. Again, glorious print job on the cover. And I was going to say, though, this piece is, I'm not sure who this Keeter is, but I can tell you who this one is, and that's Gary Keeter, and somebody in that Keeter family is a fantastic artist. That is a really good-looking piece. Maybe that's Gary. No, Gary Keeter is here. I'm not sure what that is. Okay, anyway. So we've got a little mix of this and that. He has his opening column talking about what he did in the past, what he's got coming up. Then he goes into a piece that he did with his friend and my friend, Larned Justin, from the Talking Small Press Comics world. Then we get a text piece, a prose story, Garbage Treasure by Alan Freeman, with 2, 3 really nice spot illustrations. You've got a Keith Newsom iPad drawn classic. He just does such a good job with these. Pretty cool. And then you get to what I consider to be the heart of the magazine, which is Geriatric Man by Chuck Bunker. Chuck is a relatively recent returnee to Small Press Comics. He, in this one, has done all the story, all the art, all the lettering, all himself, the layouts, everything, which is kind of cool. And so he has the character. He's an old man, and his true love, Cornelia Karamia, calls up and says, we're going to go to a show. And so he gets ready for his big hot date, and they get to go, and on their hot date, you notice that the art quality, I think, is a little stronger on these couple pages. The lines are a little darker. They're a little lighter on this set and on this set, but he's still working it through with all of his new tools, and so Chuck's doing a fine job. Then you have, of course, Dr. Petulant Flunk. And he's the world's maddest mad scientist who clearly is not happy with people having a good time. And so he's off to make them miserable, but they run off to a concert. And so that's the end of chapter 1. The next issue, you'll see more of the Geriatric Man. Then you wrap it up with some letters from Mike Tuz, Tony Lorenz, and the late Larry Blake, which is kind of cool. These are in relation to the prior issue of Mantra, which came out back in 2021. So he's held on to those letters for a while. I do like this piece, and this is a Talking Small Press Comics cartoon drawn by Larned Justin. The style that Larned's doing here, I should know it. I don't, but I got to say this is really a strong piece. So very well done, Larned. I'm impressed. And apparently Larned was asked, Larry Blake always had something supportive to say, but he said that, Larry Blake, his work has appeared in Mantra since the first issue in 1974. He insisted that Alice Cooper should appear as a spot illustration in every issue. So they're honoring that tradition. Larned did a Alice Cooper drawing. That's not a photo. That is a drawing of Van Morrison by Larned. Larned, you're showing off your chops again. Always impressed. And then lastly, a cute piece with Chuck Bunker getting interviewed by Larned and Steve for Talking Small Press Comics. And the UFO checklist. Nice little book. This is, do we have a price on this one? $4.50 postpaid. And I'll put the information in the show notes. So that's it. That is the entire UFO review for this time around. This has been FANzine Live New Releases. Thank you for hanging in there till the very end. If you have anything to say about any of these, toss it in the comments. I'd love to hear what you think. But thank you so much for watching, and I will catch you next time.